Hello, gay men. And that is gay men, not amen.
Welcome to Coming Inside Out. I'm Brian James.
And I'm John Derlin. Welcome, you guys. Hi,
Yes.
how you doing?
Good to see you, John.
Good to see you.
How's everything going?
Good. It was a good day today. I was out door knocking.
Oh, my God.
All right. Again, guys, if you're just joining us, we're both realtors, and one way to get work is it's the old-fashioned way.
The door knocking.
You go and door knock and talk to people. I love doing that, though.
Did you get hit on while you're out door knocking?
Once I did.
Just once?
Yeah. And I've knocked on thousands of doors, so that just tells you a lot about me. But I tell you what, it gets me out of the office.
Yes.
And I love talking to people. And I sit there and talk to this 70-year-old woman today for 20 minutes. And she was telling me all about the history of her house and the neighbors and, who was screwing on who was cheating. I mean, there's gossip. I'm telling you, there's gossip out
all
there.
the upcoming listings.
Exactly. About. Yeah, the future divorce.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
How was your day?
My day was okay. I don't know. Emotionally, I think I'm having a heavy day.
Are you?
I am. And I was going to share this with you.
Yeah.
I print out stuff that our listeners have sent in.
Yeah.
I was at a gay father's barbecue on Saturday. You weren't able to attend.
Yeah.
His son does travel basketball. My son used to do travel basketball.
So you know how it is.
I get the schedule.
But I saw the pictures on Facebook, and you guys had such a great, it looked like a really good time.
So, the fun thing about that was I was probably maybe the 6th or 7th person to arrive to the barbecue and walk in the door, and two of the guys were like, "There's the podcaster, Mr. Brian." It was kind of exciting to be recognized for what we're doing with this group. So it was kind of fun.
Listen, I had the same reaction. I went over to the Eagle after our podcast on Sunday, and I ran into Howard and a couple other gay fathers. And that's what they said to me. They're like, "Hey, here's the podcast." And they go, "We've been listening to it. You guys sound great." I mean, how nice is that? And for all you listeners that have been emailing in and everything, thank you, because that gives us something to, measure this with, and let me tell you, it's we've had a lot of thankful people that have commented, and it was so interesting that, that's where, I was there, and then there was this other guy that wasn't a gay father. He goes, "What, you do a podcast?" And I said, "Yeah," and I told him what it was about. He goes, "Oh my God," he goes, "I wish there was one out there when I was coming out." So this is great. I'm very humbled for this opportunity.
Me too.
And this is awesome.
And I have some stuff in here that's going to humble you even more that came in from our listeners. But when I was at this barbecue, one of the gay fathers, he's not out. He is completely, without names, he's completely closeted. He is not out. Mm-hmm. I don't know where he told his wife he was going, but he showed up. But he's still there. He's still married. They're still living together, the whole thing. Shows up to the barbecue, walks over to me, and thanked me for our podcast. I didn't even know they listened. I didn't even know that he knew that the podcast existed. He walked over and he thanked me. And he's like, "Listen, I'm listening to your guys' podcast. Thank you so much." And I said, "I really appreciate that." I said, "If you don't mind, because I didn't know you listened, critique the podcast. Give me your thoughts on this." Because I talk to people that are our friends. Yes. I'm not saying they're going to say nice things to me, but, I'm like, "Hey, listen, be honest. And, what are your thoughts on this?" And he said to me, "I love your podcast. You and John," he said, in his mind, and where he's at, is we start talking about a topic and we're like starting to dive down into the topic, and he's leaning in and listening. And just when he thinks we're going to go further, we kind of skim the surface
and then come out,
pull back out. And I went home and I thought about that because, I thought, okay, I want to reach as many people as possible. I'm aware that I do that. And I thought, what is going on with me that makes me get to a certain point in a conversation when I start to get uncomfortable and I inject humor. Because you and I have great banter with one another.
Sure.
But I think at the same time that we have banter, it allows us to save ourselves from becoming too vulnerable. Part of that for me is, and the listeners may not understand, is this is extremely vulnerable for you and I to be sharing what we're sharing on this platform. And, it touches a lot inside of me. It triggers stuff in me. It brings up feelings of the past and just, my kids and everything else. And so,
well, I have to, and I appreciate the feedback on that, but maybe there's times that we skim the surface and bounce back.
I'm talking about me, not you. But
no. I'm talking about you. Because listen, you've touched on a lot of stuff.
I've touched on it, but I don't sit in it.
No, but listen, you've been very vulnerable in talking about your suicide attempts, what you were doing, and we got deep into that. And I appreciate whoever that was that commented on that, and that's nice. But we're not going to be able to please everybody.
No,
and I'm going to go beat him up for saying that.
No,
I'm kidding. But I know for you, I mean, it was hard. Like last week was really hard for me because it hit a spot of that. And I do think we do hit on a lot of deep things, but there's some stuff that we bounce off of. But that's good. I'm glad he gave us that feedback because we can be a little more conscious of that.
We can sit in it maybe a little bit more. I don't want to go down a rabbit hole with a lot of these things, but if it's something that you feel that you want to expand on, let me know. And
sure, and if there's anything you want to expand on, let me know and I'll give you permission if I feel that you should do it.
I appreciate
you didn't get the joke.
Oh, extend. No, we were going deeper, and I was thinking the whole entire time that's what was happening. But yes, I did get the joke. So on those lines, we're going to come right back to that. But I did want to do just a tiny bit of housekeeping.
Let's do it
every week. We get listeners reaching out to us through Facebook, through Instant Messenger, through YouTube, through email. Those are the ways that I know that people are reaching out to us. If you're reaching out to us through Spotify, through Apple, through iHeartRadio, through any of these other platforms, I don't know how to retrieve any comments that are coming in. I only know the ones that I know.
Okay.
So when I was going through this last week, I was like, I really don't know how to even dive into these other platforms and find if people are sending us messages. So if you've sent us a message on one of those other platforms and we haven't responded to it, that's why. It's simply because I don't know how.
Well, we're technically challenged.
Yes.
I'm more so than you. You've been learning a lot about this and doing this. So yes. You've been very good at it.
Oh, well, thank you.
I want to commend you and thank you for that because you knew nothing about this.
Nothing.
I
still barely know anything.
Honestly, if you guys are just joining us when Brian and I were talking about this, because I threw it out there flippantly. Is that a word?
At dinner,
flippantly?
Yes.
At dinner, and then you came and just if you just start, how did we start this? It started from being a part of a group called Gay Fathers of Los Angeles, and there's other chapters in Boston, and Bob was the one who started that one. And then we all go to dinner, and then we were bantering at the dinner table, and I said, guys, this needs to be on a podcast. And 3 weeks later, a month later.
Well, I had all this stuff already because I was on a podcast 2 years before, and I thought I want to do a podcast.
You were on a podcast?
I was a guest on a podcast.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
But I had all this already because 2 years ago I thought, okay, I want to do this, but I didn't know anything about it. And then you mentioned it, and I was like, here's my victim right here.
And then you go, hey, you want to go to lunch? And I said, yeah, let's go to lunch. And then he hit me up.
Yes.
Which I'm so glad you did. This is fantastic.
Yeah, so the last podcast we dropped on Tuesday, we've already had over 100. This was our biggest week. I think it's episode 12. We had pretty quickly 100 people through all the different platforms.
That's great.
On it. So yeah, it was. I mean, I think we're picking up momentum.
We're picking up the gaze.
Absolutely.
We're picking up the gaze.
Yeah. And I want to take this time to just let our listeners know how honored John and I are that you're listening to our podcast, that you're writing in, that you're sharing your stories. I want to share something that I received. I'm going to share the first email. It wasn't the first one we got, but I'm going to share an email.
Yeah.
It was 10 o'clock the other night. I had my laptop. I was in bed, not watching porn.
On Grindr?
Working. I was working. And I was checking my emails at 10 o'clock, and at 9:20, someone had sent an email to cominginsideout@gmail.com. So I looked at the email. I shared this one with you. And the listener wrote, I am at work and randomly came across this podcast. My jaw literally dropped as I listened to it. I thought I was all alone. Not really sure what to say, but I'd like to talk to you about my story. I've not told anyone before, but I'm trying to build the courage to let it out. My hands are literally shaking trying to type this. If you would be willing to listen, I would love to come out to you. I mean, I still don't think I'm ready to come out completely, but I'm building the courage.
Wow, that's...
It's at 10 o'clock at night.
That's...
I emailed him back.
Yeah.
We didn't get on the phone. You know, you had sent out, or you had told our listeners, hey, don't give out your phone number. But he was, I mean, this is, I feel that this is a legitimate person reaching out to the podcast. So I emailed him back, and he and I emailed back and forth for 2 hours. He came out to me in the emails. He's like, you're the first person I'm telling this to. And he told me a story. And I said, listen, you know, we don't want people to think that we're saying something we shouldn't. Are you okay if I shared this on the podcast?
Sure.
And he said, absolutely. So in that process, he came out to me, which I was honored. He's in his late 50s. He has 2 kids. He's married, completely closeted. And he also shared with me that between the ages, and you'll get this, between the ages of 10 and 12, he was sexually abused by his stepfather.
Oh my gosh.
And I, you know, and this is all in email, but, you know, I mirrored, my ex-wife is a therapist, so I mirrored him back in conversation. Because I'm not qualified. We're not therapists. I'm qualified to listen, is what I was qualified.
So it was his stepfather.
Stepfather molested him, and then his mother, and he divorced, and it stopped. But he was sexually abused between the ages of 10 and 12. These are the people that we're reaching. Yeah. We're having an impact on people. I'm honored that these people are tuning in and listening, but at the same time, I feel like turning our circumstances into a blessing.
Right.
Right?
Right. I mean, I think, 8 years or 10 years ago, everything was suppressed for me. Yeah. And it just, I mean, there's just so much that you can hold. There's just so much. There's so much that you can withstand, and it comes out in other areas. If you're, for me, it was probably anger or eating, drinking, whatever it may be.
Sex could be sex.
It could be sex, but it's interesting, and I do want to dive a little, and it may be uncomfortable for some people, but there, a lot of people that are molested, and I was one who was molested, and again, I know I touched on this before. But, when you're young and you don't have an affectionate mother or an affectionate father, just being held, just holding someone is so soothing. And it's, it's the touch, it's the feel. And if you're a child that was never touched or never had that, for me, being molested, there was a part that comforted me during that. And it wasn't
what he said also.
It wasn't just the act of touching the penis or touching the other private parts, but it was also holding and cuddling, which was comforting to me. And so I guess you try to find the best part of a bad situation. And that was one thing that, out of the bad situation, was one thing that was, that, could I say I liked it? Yeah, I guess I did.
When you were a child.
Well, I was a child, yeah. So I'm so sorry to hear that, because that probably was happening a lot to him because it was in his own house.
Yeah.
This was not. This was a guy down the street, and for in my predicament. But for somebody having that for so long, it's just it's horrible.
John, maybe that's why you didn't tell anybody at the time. Maybe that's why you didn't come home and freak out and say, "Hey, listen, somebody did this to me." I mean, people keep these secrets because in the moment you were comforted by it. Why would you go and tattle on that person and make them bad because they were actually providing you with something?
And thank you for that, because I didn't have an affectionate mother or father growing up. My father, again, my story is my dad left when I was 4. But, again, it's very important for a little boy to have your first relationship with a man is with your dad. It's really with your father.
Should be.
And it should be. And a lot of, us 70 kids or even 60s and 50 kids, they, generally, fathers weren't around, either traveling sales or they just weren't around. You had your mom. But, to this day, I'm always hugging my children and loving them and touching them on the shoulder.
Yes,
and I think it's great. And, what comes out of something like this in a dark moment as a child, but we learn from it, and then we don't want to repeat it, or we want to make sure, I think it makes you a stronger adult, stronger parent, stronger father, stronger person in a way, I think.
And so, and I don't know, this didn't happen to me, but maybe that's, there's shame because you didn't report it. And the reason you didn't report it was because it was actually giving you something that was missing in your life. And you look back and like, oh my God, I never told anybody. I'm so ashamed. And I'm going to keep this buried as a secret because I didn't tell on them. And there's no shame. There's no shame. You're the victim.
Right. Yeah. And, yeah. So this guy that you talked to.
Yes. Yes.
He's so, okay. So what's his next? Well, he took a huge leap.
He did.
By just coming out in an email and everything. And I think that is amazing. Because he trusted you.
I don't promote this, but I know that this is where some men are, and I wanted to provide him with a resource. And I said, I know people go on Facebook and they create fake profiles.
Yeah.
They use a fake name. You don't want to go on and use your name on Facebook, but you want to find a support group. I said, I know people that go on Facebook that create a fake name. If you were to create a fake name and you wanted to join Gay Fathers Worldwide, I mean, there's almost 1,000 men in there. They tell some amazing stories. Oh my God, they're so authentic and real and vulnerable. And just reading these people's stories, because he had shared that he thought he was all alone this entire time. So I told him, that's something you can look into. I want to touch base, reading this and interacting with this guy left me feeling so heavy-hearted that night that I had a hard time falling asleep. And, some of the people that write into us, somebody wrote in, I just binged all of your episodes. I'm feeling very sad right now. Going to have a hard time falling asleep tonight.
Okay.
That's big. The guy said he was sexually abused, and then...
Wait, another guy?
No, that guy.
Same guy. Got it.
Sexually abused. And then what I just, this was my own, this wasn't part of his, is, I'm personally dealing with a lot of pain, loss, conflict in my life. And I don't want to leave the listeners feeling that way. So part of me, I try and add humor to this and keep us from going too deep, because I don't want people to have a hard time sleeping. I don't want this to send someone down, a rabbit hole where they're feeling it's bringing up too much emotion for them. So that was just kind of something that.
Well, do you think if people are not, if they're listening and they're not able to fall asleep, should I sing a lullaby at the end of
push a button to record? Yes. Exactly.
I did. I was the first movie I ever did when I was in the Navy. They called us.
That you acted in.
That I acted in.
Okay.
That I acted in. And if people have pulled me up, they may have seen. I've been an actor for 25 years, but real estate is where it's at. But I love acting. And I was in the Navy, and they were shooting a movie with Bette Midler called For the Boys.
Okay.
And this was in the 90s. And they came to our Navy station to get extras to come. And so it was a World War II scene. And it was, we were supposed to be in North Africa. And it's the scene where she is singing with, oh God, what was his name? I don't know. Anyway, he was in The Godfather. Oh gosh. Anyway, I can't think of it. James Caan. So James Caan and Bette Midler were in For the Boys, and they were singing at a USO show.
Okay.
And they strategically put us out on this mountain and watching the station. I was there, and I had gone down. I was going to the bathroom, and who walks next to me but Bette Midler?
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, Bette, she goes, hi. I go, oh my God, is there any way I can get a picture? She goes, look, honey, I got to go tinkle, but I'm going to go and come back and I'll try to look for you. And then they were like, she goes off, and then, I waited, but then they were saying, go back to your spots. Everybody go back. And I was going back, and she came walking. She goes, hey, you come here. And I went there and I got the picture.
Oh, nice.
And so it's a great shot. My mother has it, of course, hanging in her living room. But, yeah, that was, I don't even know where the hell the story came from. But anyway, it was with Bette Midler. I just loved it. And that was the first time that I was, and you can't see me.
Became famous.
Well, no, it was like, look, being on the set of something like that, I told myself, oh my God, I want to do this.
Yeah.
And, I've had a good run at it, and it's fun, but yeah, it was.
Well, so along those same lines, a couple episodes ago, John did share that he was gonna buy the hospital on Grey's Anatomy. That's what it's called.
Yeah.
And I found your pictures, and I uploaded 2 of the pictures to the podcast. You were Grant. So I have 2 pictures on the podcast, on YouTube, under the photos.
Oh, really?
Of you.
Oh, but now I know the story. It was talking about singing. I'd sing a lullaby, and then that's where I went down that rabbit hole.
Maybe you can get Bette to sing a lullaby.
Well, no, let me tell you something. God, she's such a great voice, but really being there while she's singing, it was like a concert of Bette Midler concert, and she was just, and she had a lullaby song that she sang. I can't remember what it was, but that's. Now I'm connected, guys. I'm in my 50s now, and I have to pull, wait, what was I talking?
Yes. You know what? John's wearing his real estate shirt today.
Oh, that's right.
Maybe he leave a message on your work line. People could dial in at midnight and just hear your recording, and it'll be you singing.
Yeah, you can do that. I'll and then maybe you don't want to hear me sing.
And then you don't. Yes, and then you won't call again.
And then you don't.
Yes. And something else I wanted to share.
Yeah.
When I talk about how heavy this podcast is for me, what it's bringing up for me, your life, my life, our past, this whole process of coming out, the pain, we share these closeted men, their stories. There's another side to all of this. And one of the things I wrote down was last week you shared about your friend Betty. You guys went to dinner.
Yeah.
And I made a joke because you said she gave you a gift, and I said, what was it, like a Jesus pen or something like that? You had said no, it was
the pride
pen.
Yeah.
Here we are. I'm at a gay barbecue last weekend. There's about a dozen gay fathers there. Great, amazing connection. You're out at a restaurant in downtown LA with a group of your friends.
Yeah.
And there's so much joy on the other side of this also.
Yes.
There's pain for me on this side of where I'm at now, but there's also much joy that goes along with it.
Absolutely. There's much joy, and it wasn't my friend Betty that gave me the pen. It was a woman sitting next to her.
Okay.
And
Betty, you owe John a pen.
No, I have it. When I put it in my pocket, and my cleaning lady. I've never been out to my cleaning lady before,
okay,
but I'm sure she's she sees shit around my townhouse. But I left that. It was a pride flag, so it was a pin. It was a pride flag when I was at this dinner party, and Betty goes, "Hey, my friend wants to hand you something," and she looked at me, and but it was like, "Hey, you're one of me, and I want you to have this. Happy Pride."
Yeah.
And it was so nice because, when we're out traveling or when we're with a group and there's a bunch of whatever, straight people or what, it's nice to know that there was somebody that knows me, knows that I'm gay. Not that I'm trying to blow the whistle and tell everybody that, but she just wanted to give me that to say Happy Pride. And it's kind of like, I'm with you.
Yeah.
And that's a bond. And that's a bond that I'm finding that the gay community has. And how we look out for each other. I'm sure there's a lot of them that don't, but I look at that, and when I see the pride flag, it's sometimes you feel safe. You feel safe, like if there's a business or what have you. And so it was a very, very nice moment to get that.
Yes.
But yeah, my cleaning lady, she did my laundry. And
your underwear don't give away that you're gay.
No, why? Why would it?
I don't know, mine do.
Why? Because you have assless. You have assless underwear. Is that what it is, or is it leather?
No leather, no ass.
No, I mean, look, I think my gay pride shoes has given it away. And you know what? That's the whole thing. Because she's been our cleaning lady, and she was my ex-wife's cleaning. When we were married, she was our cleaning lady. And then when I decided, well, I need to move out, and we got a second, home. And for the boys, they knew, we'll go into that about talking to your kids about it, because it was a great discussion. But anyway, we're very fortunate enough to have this cleaning lady. She's part of our family. And so we were able to say, hey, we're going to have another house for you to clean. And
yes. She was happy to hear that.
We have the business, and so she helps us with everything. But I never mentioned to her, because we're not like close or anything, but I say she's like family, but we just never had that conversation. And so this is a coming out process. So how I came out to my cleaning lady was, I'm sure she saw the shoes, the pride shoes. She's like,
but would she pick up on that? I don't think a lot of people would pick up on that.
You don't think they would?
Shoes?
You don't think?
When I was heterosexual, when I was closeted, I would not have picked up on. I didn't know rainbow was a gay.
Well, if she knows that, well, anyway, she did my washing, and then on my desk, where she either leaves me a note or whatever, she put the flag there, the pin, because it was in the washer.
She didn't say, "See you next week, homo." I'm back on Tuesday.
I've been cleaning a Moe's. You Mo. I've been cleaning a Moe's apartment. Yeah. No, she didn't leave anything like that. But it was kind of like it was sitting there. It's like, okay.
All right.
Now she knows.
You know what that is?
I think so.
I would not have known what that was.
Really?
5 years ago. So.
All right. Well, we'll see. But that was a nice little But that's, part of us coming out. It's like coming out to people that sometimes you don't have to say anything.
Yeah.
You don't have to say anything. No. Don't need to. And you just go on. Because, it is. It's just like
when you come out, you're not obligated to tell every single person.
You can just. I don't think you can
yourself.
I don't think you can come out to every single one.
No.
And then, one of the. I don't beat that up. I'll tell you later.
All right. Well, here's a listener wrote us this very, 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 very nice email. It's 3 pages.
Oh my God.
He said, if you would like to read this on your podcast, and I would love to read it, but it's a bit long. So
do you paraphrase it?
Yes, I did. I'm going to give this to you. You don't need to. This is the nuts and bolts of what the listener wrote.
All right. I'm going to read it. I don't have my glasses, but that's okay.
Did I print it big enough for you?
Yeah. All right. So this is an email from a listener. Married my college girlfriend at age 20, and soon thereafter started having 3 children. Separated from my wife in 1989, and soon thereafter started dating another woman. Remarried in 1991 and had my 4th child in 1993. Separated from second wife in 2008 and divorced in 2010. I was a loyal and monogamous husband throughout both marriages. Came out to my kids in 2016 and more publicly in 2018 after someone outed me. Now a member of Gay Fathers of LA.
Yeah.
You're kidding.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. So it was a really nice email. Well, I left the name off on purpose.
Of course. No, I would never. But
they said,
I'll get to talk to
Yes.
I'll
let you. Yeah. I'll not that I'll let you. I'll let you know who it is later.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Let's walk it down. So he was 20 years old when he got married, had 3 kids, and then separated in 1989, and soon thereafter dated.
He was gay and had 2 marriages, 2 divorces. I mean,
But he came out. So I like
2016.
He came out in 2016, but so did he realize he was gay after he divorced after 2010? Because he said he was monogamous.
I think he always knew. I was monogamous. I always knew, and even after my divorce, my first thoughts were that I was going to date another woman. Even knowing that I was gay my entire life, suppressing it my entire life, I was so conditioned to live a heterosexual lifestyle that when my divorce was finalized, my first thought was, I'm going to date a woman again. Yeah. And then, light bulb or something kicked me in the head, and like, what the fuck are you, thinking? Mm-hmm. And I was like, wow, this was my opportunity. Bittersweet, but this is my opportunity to be me. And I took the leap and came out, but I knew.
I think some of us, though, just didn't know. I mean, seriously.
But, you and I talked, and this is good. You and I talked that when you were a young child, you dressed up, I think you said, as Dolly Parton. And
my titties are still as big as hers today. I'm very loud with this microphone. But I could give her a run for her money with the booties.
You said that you got scolded for that.
Yeah.
And at a young age, you get scolded for doing something that resonated with you.
Yeah.
That causes you to restrict.
Yeah, exactly.
Contract.
Yeah.
And instantly realize, oh, this was bad.
Well, it
I
makes you
should
feel
not have dressed as a woman. I should not have had girls' clothes on. This was not okay.
Yeah.
And immediately, maybe something in the back of your head was like, hey, listen, this is not acceptable. And you buried it and suppressed it.
Yeah.
So you may not have known. And it's like, I don't want to get political, but like, with Kamala Harris, her running mate is saying that she was Indian and then one day she decided to be black. I don't think she one day decided to be black. She's been black her whole life. You're probably gay your whole life. You just didn't one day decide to be gay. One day it organically happened for you, right?
Well, I think it's different for everyone. It's just different for everyone. And yeah, it's
all right. Well, I think we're at 30 minutes. So well, I have a couple more emails, but we'll get to those in the next episode. Thank you guys so much for joining us.
Goodbye. Amen. Yeah, thank you guys for listening and make it a great day make it a great day.
Yes.
Take care.